welcome to episode 34 of One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer, the Opper Jackson podcast. And I can't say anything else because I had the whole show written on my shirt and I'm done with it. So, now JJ, I have I have my hat on backwards for a reason. I will give you three guesses what kind of a hat I'm wearing. Or what team is on it?
What team? Well, I don't know if you want to bring luck or jinx the team. You got it on backwards. Well, first of all, you usually wear a Cub hat, so I'm gonna say Cubs.
No, it's not a Cub hat.
It's not a Cub hat. Well, let's see. Who are you wanting? Are you wanting the Brewers to beat the Cardinals? Maybe it's the Brewers.
It's not a Brewer hat.
It's not a Brewer. Well, maybe you've come over to our side. Is it a Cardinal hat?
It's not a Cardinal hat.
Oh, all right.
This is my wife's Springfield Redbirds hat.
I love it. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I told her, I said, I'm going to throw that on tonight. And you know, you were going to win a Cadillac, but you didn't choose correctly. So
my luck right there.
Yeah, I'm going to save the $60,000. So
we'll put it back in the fund for the staff party.
That's right. I do want to remind you, you can follow us on Twitter. You can like us on Facebook. Contact us at onecardinal1cub1beer@gmail.com. You can support us through Patreon, which is going to help. Next week, I should have some of the material ready that we're going to be doing to do some advertising. So pretty excited about that. It's not going to be like TV advertising, and it's not going to be like newspaper advertising. It's going to be more of a grassroots advertising. Yes, we are going to advertise through that band of the late 60s, early 70s, the Grassroots.
Midnight Confessions.
There you go. Also, please follow us or please subscribe to our page by clicking on the icon at the bottom right-hand corner. I finally am pointing correctly. I'm very, 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 very proud of myself. And I'm going to do a little trivia contest because I do some crafty things. And I don't mean like crafty thing. I mean, I do crafts. Okay. Yes, I am almost female. Okay. So I found this Cub logos through the years online. I thought, boy, that'd make a really cool coffee mug. So as you can see, it starts with the very first Cub logo and goes through the modern logo.
Oh yeah.
And there's 16 on here, and then there's the bear on the back I put on the cup. And then I thought, okay, I have a wife who's a Cardinal fan, and JJ, I do the show with, who's a Cardinal fan. I wonder if I can find the very same pattern with the Cardinals. By golly, I have. So there's the Cardinal logos through the year, starting with the original St. Louis logo, going all the way to the modern logo. And on the back, I have the logo that they had from 56 through 66 on there. So whether you're a Cardinal fan or a Cub fan, you can participate in this. The first person that gets a hold of me at onecardinal1cub1beer@gmail.com or gets a hold of me through somehow gets a hold of me, get a hold of me through leaving a comment on the podcast site. You can leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Just get a hold of me somehow. First person who answers this will get the mug of your choosing, the Cub or the Cardinal, depending on what your team is. And the question is this: who was my first favorite baseball player? Now, if you haven't been listening that long, you're probably not going to know. But if you're a longtime listener, go into the archives of your brain and remember what I think he said that. So, and also very excited. We are going to be doing a panel show. I think we can have this ready by next week. Can we have it ready by next week, JJ?
Yeah, I'll get a hold of everybody. Yes, I think there's a good chance.
I think so. We're going to have a panel show next week, unless I'm lying and it's going to be in 2 weeks, but I think it's going to be next week. And very excited about that. We are just going to do kind of a roundtable thing, talk about some of the things in Major League Baseball. and stuff that's particular to the Cardinals and the Cubs. So very, very excited about that. JJ, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I tell you what, Vince, sometimes a new month or a new week turns your frowns upside down. I'm Irish. I'm part Irish. I got the Irish luck going on. We got the Irish jersey there, the Cardinal Irish St. Patty's Day jersey. I'm wearing a hat from the Derby Girls, the Dairy Girls, the Irish show on TV. If you haven't seen it,
Dairy Girls is awesome.
it's fantastic. I got Sister Mike is up here. That's Sister Mike up there.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to let Kathy know that you have a Sister Mike hats, Sister Michael hats.
My daughter turned me on to that show, and she's a huge fan of the one that's uptight, the little short one that's kind of uptight.
Oh yeah,
big fan of hers. So she got us to watch it, and me and my wife have probably watched every episode 3 times. Love that show. Yeah. So I was sort of bringing the Irish luck in. The Celtics are doing good. The A's are not, and they wear green. But I thought, man, maybe we can get. I've tried everything, on my end to try to get us turned around a little bit. But this week has been a much better week. Starting with Cardinal news, there wasn't many transactions. The only transaction we had all week was today. The Cardinals, it was supposed to be Corbin. We're playing the Brewers tonight. It was supposed to be Corbin Burnes versus Adam Wainwright. But the Cardinals have brought up Matthew Liberatore out of Memphis, and a lot of people has wanted to see him come up. He's a left-handed pitcher, and he's 4-1, and I believe he's thrown 8 games down in Memphis, and has done a real good job with a 3.13 ERA. That is in AAA, and this is the Brewers we're facing. But Vince, I don't know if you knew this, but if you got any left-handed starters on the Cubs, throw them at the Brewers. The splits are incredible. How poorly the Brewers have done against left-handers. Do you have any left-handed starters?
Justin Steele is left-handed, and
he does good against everybody.
Shoot, who else is? We have 2 left-handers. Now I have to go through the. Drew Smiley pitching tonight. Yeah, he's also left-handed.
Line them up against the Brewers because they're not a big hitting team anyway. They hit 248 versus right-handers, but against left-handers so far this year they're only hitting 218. They've hit 38 home runs against right-handers and 13 against lefties. And it goes like that all the way down the dial. 146 RBIs against right-handers, 24 RBIs against left-handers. And again, maybe they haven't seen as many left-handers. I don't know the splits and how many bats and things like that, but they don't do very good against left-handers. So my hope tonight, Burnes, he's always incredible. Liberatore keeps us in the game, goes 5, maybe 6, and it becomes a bullpen game because we've used up their bullpen the last 2 days. So if we can get in their bullpen, I think we got a shot at tonight. Dylan Carlson. Okay, so Oscar Mercado has also been called up from Memphis. So we got Liberatore and Mercado coming up, an outfielder, and Dylan Carlson has been placed on the 10-day IR, and James Nail, from the kid from Cape Girardeau area, has been sent back down to Memphis to make room for him. And we also received word this week that Packy Naughton, who is a very big part of our bullpen, is going to be on a 60-day IR now. So I hope him a quick recovery because him and Wilking Rodriguez, who's out for the year, were planned to be big parts of our bullpen. And Vince, I think that's going to be a big part of this year. We've seen a lot of injuries already, and we're only like 6 weeks into this season, and a lot of players are going down or they're missing time, and I think it's going to last to the last man standing, the healthiest team at the end of the year. So we'll see. That's always a big part of baseball.
Look at our week's transactions when I get to it.
Yeah,
that's how bad the injury bug has hit us, and the ineffective bug too. So
yeah, well, anyway. That's a big part of it as well. The ineffective bug. Sometimes people just pull up. I need a little time off. The other thing I was going to mention in Cardinal land, which is a fun thing, they have bobblehead days, which of course I'm a fanatic on the bobblehead days, but they have special theme nights. And this year, the Cardinals are having a WWF or WWE. Sorry, I'm old, WWF. But they're having a theme night, and it's the WWE night, and they're going to give away it's a 6-inch bobblehead instead of an 8-inch. It's a bobblehead that looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but it's Al Hrabosky, the Mad Hungarian. And he's in the ring. He's wearing the vest, but instead of saying Stone Cold Austin, it's going to say Al Hrabosky. So Oh man, that is going to be so cool. I know I'm a nerd. I know it. I know it, but I think that's going to be pretty cool. And in Nerdland, I did get the Arenado uh cycle bobblehead, which is the first time the Cardinals ever did. We don't hit many cycles as a team anyway. I mean, they don't happen very often. But on it, it's got like a scorecard in each inning, what he did in each inning, and I think that's pretty good.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So maybe we'll have that for a prize one day down the line too. I'm gonna try to get a couple of those. Now game time. You know, it's been bleak for the Cardinals this year, and this week we finished with the Cubs. We won the first two games, and let's see, we won the first two games, and Wednesday at Wrigley Field, the Cubs beat us 10-4.
Yes.
Yes, they
Yes.
did. They did. Hey, the Cubs play with a lot of enthusiasm. They're a fun team to watch. And I tell you what, since you called this, Vince, when you got that right fielder, Suzuki is his name?
Suzuki. Yeah.
He solidified that defense in the outfield. It seemed like right whoever you had out there before, the center fielder had to make up a lot of ground. And with Suzuki out there, he can cover a ton of ground. And I tell you what, that's a good team. We lost 10-4, but we're trending in the right direction. We won 2 out of 3. And that's always good. And it's the first time we face the Cardinals have a lot of trouble when we first face a pitcher for the first time, and we're facing Justin Steele, and that kid looks dynamite. He's 6-0. He's the real deal. We weren't the only team having problems with him. It seems like everybody's having problems with him.
That the Astros.
We did score 3 runs off of him, and he has pretty much shut down everybody. So we did get 3 runs off of him, which
that was his first outing in about 20 outings where he's given up more than 2 earned runs.
I was proud of that. I mean, that's something we can hang our hat on. If we can get 3 runs off Justin Steele, we can get 3 runs off almost anybody. And he did pitch 6 innings, so but unfortunately the Cubs just lit it up with the bats. And Montgomery pitched that game, and he did not do very well. Let's just say this: the Cubs owned him. 5 innings, 6 runs, 3 Ks, 3 walks. Not a very good outing. Anyway, the Cubs had 10 runs, 14 hits. We had 4 runs, 10 hits. We are hitting. Let's see. Suzuki 2 for 4, and he looks great out there. Cardinals did pull 2 double plays. And that's how we kind of won the first 2 games. We did a lot of double plays. Every time the Cubs would be threatening, we get a double play and get out of it. So our defense has always been there this year, and I think we're really tightening that up as well. So lose to the Cubs. All right. And we're on this great trip this week. We play the Cubs 3 in Wrigley, which is one of the greatest ballparks of baseball, day off. And then we go to Fenway Park in Boston. So that's a lot of great history. It's fun watching these games and seeing these games. But Friday, the Cardinals went 8-6, and Waino pitched, and he had 1 bad inning. He went 5 innings with 4 runs. They had James Paxton, who looked dynamite. He went 5 innings with 2 runs. And this is one of those gut-wrenching games where the Cardinals have the lead going in, or the Red Sox had the lead going into the 9th inning, and they bring in Kenley Jansen, who's one of the 7 pitchers with 400 saves. So you think, man, the odds are great that the Red Sox are going to win, and we come up big in the 9th inning and win that game. So no team errors. We pulled 3 double plays, and again, that's been the Cardinals' MO this year. We get in a little trouble. They can just keep it on the ground. We got a good chance of getting double plays. Stole a few bases. DeYoung and Newbar stole some bases. Newbar's got 5 stolen bases, and we went deep. Arenado, who seems like he's turning it around. I'll get more into Arenado a little bit later. Contreras hit a home run. Gorman. And Vince, a lot of people forget this kid's only 23 years old. He was their number 1 draft choice, and last year he came up and he did fine. But this year, he's maybe our best player on our team, lighting it up right now. Now, he doesn't get to play all the time, and that's what we're going to get at with Kisner catching and Contreras DH, and there's really not a spot for him because you've got Donovan at second and Edmund at short, and then Arenado at third, and Gorman can actually play third. So it's better if Contreras is behind the plate.
Now, isn't the last thing I heard that Contreras is going back behind the plate now?
Yeah, Monday he was behind the plate. He was back behind the plate. It was 2 weeks. They made it public, which is kind of odd. I don't know what was said. They had some meetings, some things got leaked. Adam Wainwright spoke. Contreras spoke at a meeting, and also Goldie. That's what's been reported. And a lot of things came out, and it was all, they say, positive. We might look back and look at this as a turning point of the season. I don't know. They say the pitch clock's a big problem too, Vince. Used to, you could shake the catcher off, but now with the pitch clock, it's speeding everything up. He doesn't know these pitchers as good as he did the Cubs pitchers. He had all spring training, but a lot of our players were over playing in the World Baseball Classic. I don't know. It sounds like just some excuses that why we weren't winning, to be honest with you. I think Contreras is fine. He's looked great behind the plate catching balls in the dirt and throwing runners out, and he's hitting as good as we could expect. But yeah, he was supposed to be just used as a DH for a while, and it turned out to be 2 weeks. But we'll get back to that. But he's been hitting the daylights out of the ball, and he actually got the Cub fans kind of booed him at the end of that series because he was kind of laying it on him a little bit, giving him some of this, whatever this is. Hey, hey, hey. Then the Cardinal fans were cheering him, the Cub fans were booing him. And
See,
they don't.
I didn't like that because it's not the Cubs fans' fault that he was let go or didn't resign. That was I know this can be interpreted as, oh, I'm just playing with you, or I'm just effing with you. And I took it as, I'm just effing with you. Yeah. You have a problem with management, which he should have a problem with management. He's got good reason to have a problem with management. Don't take it out on the fans.
Oh yeah.
Other players who come back to Chicago to play, Rizzo, Bryant, heck, Jason Hayward, they're not taking it out on the fans. So I kind of like, oh, come on, Wilson, you're better than that.
Yeah. I love him being with us. I wished he had stayed there because I like that continuity. Like Salvatore Perez, he's the only guy they kept from that World Series teams in Kansas City, and he's the face of the team. And Yachty, there was chances now, Cardinals just remembers Yachty being here all those years, but there was a chance he could have left too. There was times he said, I'm going to get paid, and the Cardinals ended up paying him. But there was a few times in there there was a talk of him might be becoming a free agent. So, I kind of wished he'd stayed his whole career with one team, but I'm glad he's here. And I thought he was having fun, and it was just, I don't know, just another piece in our great rivalry and all that there. But Bruce Sutter, who played for both teams, he never did that. Bruce didn't. So
yeah.
Anyway, so that's that game, and we got the first one, and we came flying back in that game on Friday, and Arenado went 4 for 5, and he had 2 RBIs, and his average is creeping up. Helsley two inning save and got 4 Ks. Gorman hit a pinch hit 9th inning home run off of Jansen, and Jansen did not even he was no innings pitched. He didn't get a single man out, 3 earned runs, no Ks, and 1 walk. And in that game, Vince, I noticed Contreras kind of used the time clock to his advantage. He kept 1 foot out of the batter box until around that 9-second mark, and then he would turn and then get ready. That's a good strategy. I don't know if that's a dirty pool or not, but Jansen had to wait on him to get into the box, and then he went ahead and went, and it seemed to unravel him a little bit there. So anyway, that was that game. So the Cardinals we're on a little streak now. Saturday, May 13th. I won't get into these stats deeply, but we won 4-3. Matz had an okay game, 5 1/3, 3 earned runs. Let me tell you something. Chris Sale looked like the old Chris Sale in that game. 8 innings. We only got 3 hits, 1 earned run, and he struck out 9 guys and walked 1. Looked fantastic. And if his pitch count hadn't been up, he probably went out in the 9th as well. Well, they're winning. But Matz did his job. He kept us in the game, and we came back. The bullpen pitched 2 2/3 innings, no runs given up, and the Cardinals we only had 1 run through 7, and we got 3 again in the 9th inning, and that was off of Jansen. We came from behind, and Plante got the win, and Gallegos got the save, and again our defense made no errors and 2 double plays, and Goldie got another stolen base, and Arenado hit another home run. He's starting to get hot, Vince. Starting to get hot. Then Sunday, Mother's Day. I don't. Did you watch the Mother's Day game on ESPN? It was the late game on Sunday.
We did, yes.
Did you see the Lars Newbar and his mom? The little thing at the beginning. There was an interview with
Yeah,
Lars.
yeah.
That was so touching. His mother's Japanese, and Lars. I'm going to get emotional talking about it too much, but there was an emotional moment where they brought Lars' mom. He didn't know she was going to be on the telecast, and it's just really good to see. It was a good Mother's Day moment, and the Cardinals went out on that day and just played great. They swept the Red Sox 9-1, and I tell you what, it was good to get a one where we didn't have to stress. I mean, every game came down to every single pitch and every out. We won the game 9-1, and Michaelis did a really good job. He went 6 innings. The bullpen looked fantastic. Lars got 3 hits. He's hitting 302. And again, we had I mean, with 9 runs, everybody's hitting, but Arenado's starting to get hot, and he hit another home run. So now let's see. Return. Okay, so Monday now we've got Milwaukee Brewers who are back in first place. Vince, you got to get that voodoo doll out again. We got to get that thing working. They're a good team and they got great pitching. So we're home, and Flaherty's going to pitch, and Flaherty's been shaky all year. And Flaherty had his best outing, I'd say, in 3 years. He went 7 innings, no earned runs, 10 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Got the first 2 men got on in the game, but shut him down. And the Cardinals went absolutely berserk in that game, and scored a ton of runs. I don't think we've scored that many runs in a long time. I got so many statistics on here. I'm not going to get too much into it, but Arenado hit another home run. And that was 4 games in a row he's hit a home run. He's playing great defense. We haven't made an error all week. Edmund is starting to light it up. He went 4 for 5. And the Cardinals now have scored 8 runs in the last 8 games, averaging 8 runs a game. Of course, when you score 18 runs, that really jacks up the totals there too.
That helps, yeah.
That helps. Now you see 18-1, you're going, wow, they killed them. But it was a tight game through about 4 innings, 4 or 5 innings, and then it was like 4-1, and all of a sudden the wheels came off and we got into their bullpen and lit them up. But that was nice to see, and now we're only 6.5 games out. It's Monday. And things are looking better. We're 17-25, which is still nothing to be super proud of, but we've come a long way from 10-25. So that's good to see. I got so many little notes and everything, but they beat us yesterday, and it was a bullpen game. And Vince, I've said this once before, I'm not crazy about the bullpen games as far as we go. I don't feel confident. They bring a different pitcher in every inning or every 2 innings, and you got to kind of adjust to a new pitcher, and they just ate us up yesterday. We had a nice game, and we were in it, but and again, but Arenado hit another home run, so he's got 5 games in a row he's hit home runs. He's playing great defense. Lars Newbar, Edmund, and when you're winning, that kind of fixes everything. Everybody's looking a little bit better, but we've had some injuries. To get Gorman in the game, so now Contreras is back behind the plate. Kisner he hit a pinch hit home run in an 18-1 game, but we're getting Donovan and I think left, and Edmund and right, and Gorman's playing some second, and DeYoung's hitting well. So it's a good problem to have, all these guys getting hot at the same time. And if we can get Corbin Burns tonight, or I think if we can stay tight in the last 3 innings, we could win this one tonight. So Vince, I'm a happy camper right now. I can't say anything more. It's been a good time, and we got after the Brewers, we got the Dodgers, and they beat the crap out of us in California. So I'd like to return some of that to them this weekend.
Well, we have not had a good week. It's not just that we went 2-4; it's the way that we've lost some games. We are being bitten by an injury bug, and this is just this week. Last Wednesday, Jan Gomes comes off of the 7-day IL, the concussion protocol, and we send down Miguel Amaya down to AAA. And Amaya looked great in his time with the Cubs. So it looks like we have a a catcher of the future, which is what we thought we had all along. But with the injuries that's derailed him for a couple of years, it's nice that he got a taste of success when he had the big leagues. We knew he was only going to be up for a week during the protocol for Gomes, so he did his job and went down and he contributed. On the 12th, uh, we brought Brandon Hughes from the 15-day DL, and we put Nico Horner on the 10-day IL with the strained left hamstring. On the 12th, we also sent Javier Assad to the minors, and we called up Miles Mastrobuoni because we needed an infielder to take the place of Horner. On the 15th, we transferred Adrian Sampson to the 60-day IL. He has a meniscus surgery, so he's basically toast this year. And if you'll remember when spring training started, when I was doing my who's going to get the fifth starter, Adrian Sampson, that was my initial pick to win it. And, his season's just shot. He had such a terrible spring. It looked like something was wrong, and that something definitely was. So on the 15th, we also brought Birdie up from the minors. We recalled Estrada from the minors, and I hope we keep Estrada up because he's got swing and miss stuff, and he has looked good. And we sent Wisniewski down, and we had to put Boxberger on the 15-day IL, strained right forearm, which means he's just not pitching well. So let's IL him for a while. And I can say this: Boxberger. And mixed results. I'm not too impressed. Fulmer, our other veteran that we got for the bullpen, has been horrible.
Really?
He just looks like he looks like a single A pitcher trying to pitch in the majors right now. So as JJ said, Wednesday night, the Cubs won 10-4 against the Cardinals. Dansby Swanson had a couple of hits and a couple of RBIs. Swanson is having such a good year, and I didn't know what we were getting because I just hadn't seen him that much. He is everything is advertised on defense, and his offense is really good. And man, he's just a great leader. Hap had a couple of hits. Seiya Suzuki, a couple of hits. Wisdom hit a home run. Yan Gomes went 3 for 3 with a home run. Christopher Morel went 2 for 4. Justin Steele, 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. We completely kicked the Cardinals. We took that team, that devil worshiping, godless communist team from St. Louis, and we put them in their place. It was exciting. And then, so after that, we had Thursday off, and then Friday. God, I don't even know what day comes after Thursday. Friday, that's it.
Oh yeah.
I knew it ended with a Y. We went to Minnesota. We won the first game against the Twins 6-2. Morel had a couple of hits and a couple of RBIs. Swanson had 2 more hits, a couple of walks. Patrick Wisdom went 2 for 3. Drew Smiley, 6 innings, 2 runs to run his record to 4-1. And we just looked like we had our mojo back. Yeah, that's us. And, by the way, Morel hit a home run in that game. And I'm going to get into Morel just a little bit. So then the next night, we lost 11-1 to the Twins. And the only good part about our offense was that Tucker Barnhart had 2 hits, which proves that miracles still happen. Hayden Wisniewski pitched his way to AAA, 5 innings, 7 hits, 7 runs, 7 earned runs. After a couple of pretty good outings, he just went out there and stunk it up. But Hendricks, on that very day in AAA, pitched 5 strong innings. So Hendricks is going to move in. I don't know when we're going to call him up, but Hendricks is going to secure that spot. Wisniewski is going to have to figure out what he's doing wrong in AAA, which is good. And in that game, Boxberger, 2/3 of an innings, 3 runs, and I'm just kind of keeping up with our veteran bullpen guys. So because we lost 11-1 on Sunday we had to come out and charge hard, and we did. We lost 16-3. Um, Morel did hit another home run. Suzuki hit a home run. Mervis went 2 for 4. Stroman had his first bad outing in like a year, and I'm not exaggerating. He pitched 2 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, all 6 earned. But he was looking okay. It's not something where I'm alarmed. He was just a little off, and they were hitting him hard, and the Twins got hot when we were in town. Um, Miles Mastrobuoni finished the game. This is how they got their last 4 runs. He pitched a third of an inning, gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, all 4 earned. So that's what happens when you have a position player pitch.
Saving the bullpen.
Yeah, Michael Fulmer pitched 2/3 of an inning in that game, 3 hits, 3 runs, and yeah, that was terrible.
What'd you think of the Twins? What do you think of them? They look kind of an in-betweener? They could probably give anybody a good fight, but I don't know if they're
going to win that division. The team, the pitcher we beat on Friday, Sonny Gray, usually always gives us problems. So we hit Sonny Gray pretty good. The guy they pitched Saturday, and I don't remember his name, looked really good. He looked really good. Gosh, I can't remember who faced on Sunday. Didn't matter because I think Max and I watched and we had it on. We watched for the first few innings intently, and then we just kind of got depressed.
I understand.
So then we had to go to Houston. Like I said, we're in this stretch right now where, it's a 3-team road trip. It was Minnesota first place in the Central, Houston, the defending champions, and then we're going to Philadelphia next. And we know what they did in the playoffs last year, went to the World Series. So we're in a very tough stretch right now. We lost 6-4 the first game. Christopher Morel had another home run. Dansby Swanson had a couple of hits. Tyone pitched 4 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs. Once again, he wasn't hit that hard. He is having the worst luck of any pitcher that I've seen in a couple years for the Cubs. Just bleeders falling through, little bloops falling in. And we were still in this game until Michael Fulmer came in 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 2 runs. But I do want to talk about Morel, who has 4 home runs since he has come up. He hit a home run, an opposite field home run that went 421 feet. It had to have been further in Minnesota. So the next night, he hit one about 471 feet to left field. This is not a huge guy, but he is cut. I mean, he is cut. So with his 4 runs, he's probably got 1,600 feet of travel distance on them. Now he's striking out way too much. He still has to work on that. But man, with the production, he's hitting over 300 since he's been up, and he's giving us power. And you can play him anywhere on the field, and he's not going to hurt you. He can play third. He can play short. He can play second. He can play center. He did have a problem in left this night in Houston. But a lot of people have problems in left center in Houston because they have that chain, then it jets out, then you have the chain, jets out. It's just a kind of a weird configuration. But that night we had a Happ at DH and we had Morel in left field. I'm thinking with the tough left field, why don't we put the Gold Glover out there and maybe put Morel at DH or do something else? But then again, I'm not David Ross. So last night we played the defending champion Astros again. We lost 7-3. Matt Mervis did hit his first major league home run, and if you watch it, I don't think he got more than 25 feet off the ground. Just a line shot, boom, right on the right field foul pole, and probably put a dent in it. Suzuki had a home run. Suzuki's home run in the ninth was a 2-run shot. Justin Steele pitched good. 6 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs, all of them earned. And it sounds like, well, he didn't pitch that good. He pitched a lot better than what his final stats are. He had a really rough second inning where they hit him hard, but that was an anomaly. The rest of the game, he pitched good. He had 8 strikeouts, so I'm not concerned about that. So we finished the week 2-4. The saving grace is nobody is running away with this division. We all seem to be mediocre. The best team in the division dug themselves in such a big hole. They're still in last place, but the Reds have caught us for third place, but the Pirates are coming closer to us. So it's like I said, Flag Day is when I'll really start paying attention to the standings. By Flag Day, we will have had this very tough first third of the season out of the way, and then we'll see what we have left. I don't think that the team that we have now is going to resemble the team we're going to finish the year with. I really believe Hosmer's going to be gone. I really believe that Fulmer's going to be gone. And I really believe that we're going to see a lot more Amaya behind the plate, splitting time with Gomes. And I mean, we're stuck with Barnhart because, we signed him to the contract. But I think we're going to carry three catchers and that we're going to see a lot of Amaya behind the plate. Mervis, I think, is going to be playing a lot more third base or first base. And I just think that this team is going to look a little bit different. And I may be strange. I fully expect we're going to trade Bellinger and bring up PCA. I would rather do that and try to win with the young team and get rid of Bellinger while the getting is good.
Yeah.
Bellinger, for his statistics and having a pretty good bounce back year, his advanced statistics are telling a different story. He is not as good as his stats are, so I kind of expect things might even out unless he figures it out. So I don't think we're going to finish the year with Bellinger in center field. But 2-4, I cried a lot. Hey, my kids still love me.
That's
My
right.
wife still loves me. My kitty cats love me, so I'm okay. So
Well, we went 4-2, and I think this summer, again, injuries are going to be a big part of it. It's going to be a dogfight. I don't see the Reds hanging tough. I just look at their team, and they've got a couple of young arms that look pretty good. I know they're growing. There's some growing pains there. The Pirates are surprising, but this is going to be fun down the stretch. This is going to be a great summer. And I tell you what, this week already we've had a lot of blowups. Bryce Harper get into it with a team, and he's coming up injured, just had surgery. I don't want him getting hurt. And then the Judge and the Blue Jays are chirping at each other, saying they're cheating. And it's going to be good. This year is going to be so much fun, Vince. I'm so excited.
yeah, I am too. I'm always excited for baseball, even when we're terrible. I'm excited for it. So we're gonna do a couple of spotlights. And about 3 months ago, I said I was going to spotlight Kerry Wood, and there's something that I'm always bumping for Kerry Wood. Something. Oh yeah, I think I need to do this, 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 this. So I'm going to do Kerry Wood, and JJ is going to do George Sisler. And I suggested that last week because he was the St. Louis Brown, the greatest St. Louis Brown ever, and Hall of Famer. And a lot of people don't know much about George Sisler, and he should be revered in this town like other great Cardinals of past, but being the Browns or the Baltimore Orioles. And when they moved to Baltimore, they completely erased that history of the Browns. He's almost a forgotten player. So JJ is going to resurrect him from the dead, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Go ahead. Resurrect him. Let me hear
All right. Well, I will say this. If you go to the statue area outside Busch Stadium, there's the Stan the Man statue. I believe that's over by, I think, third base. And you go out towards more center field around the ballpark, they have a bunch of statues. Lou Brock, Enos Slaughter, Red Shadings.
BB Richards.
BB Richards. He must be little because I must overlook him. He's somewhere in there, but I'll look closer next time. But Sisler is in that in the statue area. They do have a statue of Sisler in that area because he was the greatest Brown of them all. His name was George Harold Sisler. His nickname, and this is before the wrestler, Gorgeous George. I read that several times. That was his nickname, Gorgeous George, and that's way before the professional wrestler, Gorgeous George. He's born in 1893 in Ohio, and he was a fantastic. Played many sports in high school, and he signed a contract with this semi-pro team in Akron, Ohio. he ends up, his family wants him to go play at the University of Michigan. So he goes and plays at Michigan, and Michigan has a rule that freshmen cannot play on the varsity team. So they had a traveling team that just went around, and he played some games in Pennsylvania, and the owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates seen him and said, "We want that guy." They bought the Akron contract from the Akron team and said, "You belong to us now. You're going to come over and play with the Pirates." And he said, "No, my family wants me to play college ball. I'm going to play college ball." So they put him on a list where he couldn't play baseball professionally. They put him on this where he breached his contract. So he didn't know what to do. You know, he's a 19-year-old kid. So he went to his coach on the University of Michigan, who was a lawyer at one time, and his name was a guy you might have heard, Vince. Branch Rickey was the coach of the Michigan Wolverines. He goes,
Wow,
"Oh no,
I did not know that.
this is stuff I learned, and this is so I got goosebumps, man. I got goosebumps, Vince, for hitting all this history stuff." And Branch Rickey, back then they did not have a commissioner yet, and he notified the National League president and told him this, and he said he was a minor that signed a contract without his parents' consent, so it was void. That he didn't have to go play for Pittsburgh, but there was sort of something written where if he did go play, he'd give Pittsburgh the first chance to sign him. So that's kind of some neat history because Branch Rickey, as everyone knows, he eventually comes to the Cardinals and kind of builds up the minor league system that we know today. And then he goes out to Los Angeles and brings up Jackie Robinson. He was the guy who made the decision to bring up Jackie Robinson. So Branch Rickey, big part of baseball. He's in the Hall of Fame. And at the time, and that's crazy, he was the coach of the Michigan Wolverines. He played baseball from 1915 to 1930. And he came up after college. He led the Wolverines, by the way, to the national championship his senior year. And he pitched and was a first baseman. Hurt himself his senior year pitching. So he pitched, and I'll get to that in a minute. He did pitch in the big leagues, but what is it going to be the pitcher he could have been? But like I said, he played from 1915 at the age of 22 to 1927 at the age of 34 with the St. Louis Browns. He played 12 seasons with the St. Louis Browns. He played one season with the Washington Senators, and he played 3 seasons with the Boston Braves. That's how long ago this man played. So 1915 to 1930 was the years he played. And he was primarily a first baseman, but he played some second base, left field, and he also pitched. He started 12 games in the bullpen and threw 12 out of the he started 12 games and he pitched 12 out of the bullpen. And he had 9 complete games in 12 games started. Vince, I don't care what decade you play in. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah.
He had 3 saves, pitched 111 innings pitched, and had an ERA of 2.35. And it hadn't been for his arm, I think he would have been like a Ruthin Otani kind of guy, you know? 63 strikeouts but 52 walks. So he had a little control.
Wow.
Yeah, over his career, there's some spurts in there where he had some control problems, you know. But one thing people don't know about him, not only, and we're going to get to these seasons that he had, but he also managed the St. Louis Browns in 1924 through 1926. I got his records in here somewhere where what his win losses were. It was losing. The Browns, I mean, they were in the American League, and back then you had the Yankees and the Red. I mean, there were some stacked teams. I think he led them one year to a 3rd place finish. I think that was his first season, 1924. But as everyone knows, the 1927 Yankees are considered the greatest team that ever was put together. So he was playing the Yankees back then. He was an American League MVP, and that was in 1922. I'll get to this. He had 2 years. First of all, he's a Hall of Famer, but he had 2 years that are like just incredible seasons that we've never seen the likes of when I read you off some of these statistics. He was a 2-time batting champion, 1920 and 22. In 1920, he only hit 407. 407, Vince. And he had 257 hits. And that record in 1920 stood until Ichiro beat it in 2004. and Ichiro ended up with 262 hits. So he had 5 more hits than Mr. Sisler. Now, I'm not trying to put an asterisk by anything, but Sisler played it in the seasons when they only had 154 games, and Ichiro played in a 162 game season, and he only beat it by 5. So Ichiro has the record, but I think we should also elevate how great that season was for Sisler too. And later on, I'll tell you how many more at bats Ichiro had. Nothing against Ichiro. Ichiro's a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest hitters that ever lived, a great player, brought a lot to the game, but so was George Sisler. So I put those guys, man, they're on another level. Both of those fellows right there. He also led the American League 4 times in stolen bases. So this was a well-rounded player. He pitched,
Yeah.
he managed, he hit the daylights out of the ball. He wasn't a power hitter, though. That's the only thing I can say. If we had a player of our era that was even close to him, it might be Tony Gwynn, type of guy. I'm just kind of letting the younger people out there listening kind of have an idea what kind of guy he was. He led the league in 1918, 1921, 22, and 27. And he also led the league in hits twice, triples twice, and he collected 200 hits 6 times. And you don't see a lot of guys with 200 hits these days. So that's fantastic. And he had a batting average of 300 or more 13 times in 15 seasons. Right there. That's incredible. And this guy, George Sisler, even when on ESPN and the MLB channel, he doesn't get mentioned much. And I just,
No.
me and Vince just wanted to bring this guy's attention to a lot of these folks. After baseball and after he retired, he became a scout and an aide in the office, helping out and doing a lot of, evidently, when he went to Michigan, he went to school to become a mechanical engineer. So he was a smart guy as well as that. So he worked in the offices and he was a scout too. He was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1939. I believe it was his 4th year of eligibility, which is hard to believe. He had to wait 4 years, but he got 85.8% of the vote. And his managing career, he was 218 wins and 241 losses. And if you've seen some of the teams he had to go up against, that's not so bad. He did pretty good with the Browns team there, Okay, so I've got the top 10 hits ever in a season in baseball. And there's only 2 men on this list that did it twice. Ichiro has the most hits in a season, and that was like 2004, 262. Sisler had the second most, and that was at the age of 27. He got the 257 hits, and Ichiro had 70 more at bats than Sisler did. I'm just bringing that out. It's a fact. Both great players, both fantastic. Sisler, that's incredible. Also on this list, 3 tied for third was Lefty O'Doul and Bill Terry. 5 is Al Simmons. 6, a Cub and a Cardinal. Rogers Hornsby is on that list. Chuck Klein in 1930. 8 is Ty Cobb in 1911. And that's the record that Sisler broke, the Ty Cobb record. And that was a big deal when you broke anything Cobb did. Cobb had 246 hits, and he got 11 more hits than Cobb did. And now Sisler in that season, I don't know, but he had about 40 more at bats than Cobb did in 1911. So I don't know if Cobb was hurt some or they rested him a little, but he had a lot more at bats than Cobb did. The 9th most hits in a season to this day, it's George Sisler. 1922, he got 246 hits, and 10th on the list is Ichiro. In 2001, his rookie year in Major League Baseball, he had 242 hits. So that's pretty impressive.
If Sisler had 70 more at bats, probably would have got about 25 more hits. You're looking at 282 hits in a season. So, there's nothing to disparage what Ichiro did. But if you put it on an even playing field, he would have been approaching 300 hits in a season. That's amazing.
That is amazing. And he spent all 4 years in college. I don't know what the rules were back then if you went to college. Maybe each year you could decide to come out. I don't know. I don't even know how the draft worked back then in those years. But
There
it's
was no draft.
there
That's
was no
how.
draft. Well, I guess they just brought you a
Yeah,
contract. I guess that
yeah.
was it. They were the first to find you. But he had these 2 years, Vince. Well, a couple things. The 246 hits in 1922. He hit 420 and was the MVP that year. If you hit 420 and break the all-time hit record, you better be the MVP. And in 1920, he had the 251 one hits. He broke the record by Cobb in 1911. There's a year here where he hit the 407. Well, he had to get red hot down the stretch. And just think this: the Browns are trying to win the pennant. In August, he hits 442, and then going into September, he hit 448 to finally end up at 407. That is amazing. Um, in 1920, there was no MVP. So you see these older players and you think, oh, Mike Trout got 3 MVPs. Poole's got 3 MVPs. Well, back then, there was no MVPs. There was this thing called the Chalmers Award from 1911 to 1914. And then they had a league awards from 1922 to 29. Well, you were only allowed to win at one time, the player of the year. So the year that Babe Ruth hit in 1927, when Ruth hit his 60 home runs, he didn't get the MVP because he already had won an MVP. So that kind of throws things off. The MVP award did not come around until 1931, and it's that way to present time. But Vince, I'm not going to go too long here, but the years of 1920 and 1922, I don't know if we're going to see anything like that. 154 games. He 257 hits, 246 hits, 49 doubles in 20, 42 doubles in 22, 18 triples. Now we talked about his power. In 1920, his MVP year, he only had 19 home runs. Hey, I'll take 19 home runs. And in 1922, he had 8. His RBIs, 122 RBIs and 105. And stolen bases. This is back in those days. In 20, he had 42 stolen bases, and 1922, he had 51. Now, this is unheard of in today's game. It kind of changed in maybe the 60s. In 1920, when he won in the MVP, 46 walks, 19 strikeouts. He only struck out 19 times.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's and then in 1922, 49 walks and 14 strikeouts. George Sisler. What else can you say? It's amazing. And one last statistic, because I love stats, and I don't want to bore everybody out there. But when you go through the all-time greatest players in batting averages, and this is career, some people have a good 4 years. I mean, but it's hard to stay that way for 20. Ty Cobb played 24 years and had a 366 batting average, but I think if you round it off at the end, it's 367. Hornsby second, Joe Jackson, Shoeless Joe's third, Ruth is eighth, and for 14th greatest batting average of all time, tied is Lou Gehrig, who played 17 years, and George Sisler, and they're both at 340. What else can you say right there? And Tony Gwynn, who is the most current player on this list, is number 16 with a 338 lifetime batting average. And we all know how great Gwynn was. Just love to watch him play, Mr. Padre right there. But that just shows you Sisler's right up there with them, and at the early part of the 19th century there, 1900s, I'm sorry. But anyway, that's it, Vince. I just hope I did a proper send-off for old George Sisler, because
You did well. And I hope people who are listening to this who are not too familiar with George Sisler have a better understanding of how great he was. And he is buried in St. Louis. He did make St. Louis his home. And it's kind of a shame, being the Browns are, they're just kind of poof, we're gone. The history of the franchise and everything's forgotten. That this great player in St. Louis is not looked at the same as Frankie Fresh and some of the old timers, played in that same era.
There's the brown uniform. This is Roy Sievers, the rookie of the year. I just got that out of my collection. Kind of show you. Sometimes they wore a little brownie on the sleeve right here. And I also, Roy Sievers, I got an autographed ball of Roy Sievers too right there.
Nice.
But anyway, I have a little area for the Browns, and anytime I find a scorecard, stickers, anything, I get it. You know, a card maybe. But Sisler, man, that dude. You know, there was a time the Cardinals were going to leave and the Browns were going to stay, but that
That's
44 World
right.
Series kind of was the tipping point where the Cardinals were the champs and the Browns kind of went back down.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to look at Kerry Lee Wood.
Oh,
Kerry Wood is one of my all-time favorite Cubs. And with all the hype and all, he had violent stuff. I love that. You know, they used to call him and Pryor Thunder and Lightning. That Pryor had electric stuff and Wood had violent stuff. He really did. Um, for the legend of Kerry Wood, most people don't realize he was only 86 and 75 in his career. His ERA was a 3.67 ERA, uh, a little above mediocre. And you might wonder why Cub fans love him so much. I'm going to get into why we love him so much. Kerry Wood, in his 14-year career, was on the disabled list 14 times. That shows you what kind of talent he had to be have a career that's slightly above average, pitching for some not so great Cub teams to have a winning record. Um, if he was healthy, he could have been one of the all-time greats. He was born in 1977 when I was just getting ready to turn 11 years old in Irving, Texas. And he grew up in Irving and he played at MacArthur High School in Irving his freshman, sophomore, and junior year. And his senior year, he transferred to Prairie View High School for his final year of school. And he was very hyped up. He was one of the pitchers that scouts said, hey, this is Nolan Ryan type talent we've got looking at here. So he was highly sought after in the draft. The Cubs, they drafted him. He was the fourth pick in the 1995 MLB draft. He spent 3 years in the minor leagues. His best season in the minor leagues was in '96 when he posted a 10-2 record for the Daytona Cubs. He was playing for the AAA Iowa Cubs when he got called up in 1998. And I remember where I was when he was called up. I was in a hotel in Wisconsin Dells with my ex-in-laws. We were just having a weekend, you know, at one of these hotels that has a water park in it and everything. And my oldest was young, you know, and I couldn't wait to watch. I couldn't watch the game because I had family obligation, but I couldn't wait to watch ESPN because we didn't have like the internet then. I could look at something we had it. It just wasn't so readily available. But uh, I remember his starting his first game he pitched against the Expos. I think he went like 4 innings and struck out like 7 people. So he had an auspicious start, but he did have the 7 Ks and he had some control problems. But where the legend really starts is April 12th, 1998. I'm working for a pest control company and I was one of the managers, so I could schedule myself a half day if I wanted to. So I scheduled my half day, and I wanted to watch the Cubs play the Astros on this day. And I turn on the game, and it's an overcast day, and Wood's pitching, and he's pitched 4 games. So only pitched 4 games, and you've seen glimpses that his stuff's nasty, but he hasn't really done anything great yet. And as Wood says in his warm-ups, he couldn't find the plate, could not find the plate. Um, his first pitch of the game hit the umpire in the mask. He didn't have it. So he's thinking, oh man, so the first inning, somehow he strikes out 3 hitters and he thinks, I don't know how I did that, but then he found it. He pitched a 9-inning game. He gave up 1 hit that could have been called an error. He also hit Craig Biggio, and if anybody knows anything about Craig Biggio, if there was a ballpark in his area, ball pitched in his area code, he was going to find a way to get hit by it. So He struck out 20 Houston Astros. Biggio, Bagwell, Moises Alou. Um, this was a great Houston team, and I'm watching this game and I'm thinking, my God, I see a right-handed Sandy Koufax. His fastball was electric coming out of his hands and just pinpoint accuracy that day. His slider was breaking. You talk about a sweeping slider. It was sweeping across the whole room. I mean, it was unhittable. And he had that nasty curveball that was breaking. All three pitches that he had working that day, he could put where he wanted. He had never pitched a 9-inning complete game in his life. He had never had a game where he didn't walk anybody. He ended the game with the one hit, with the one hit batsman, 20 strikeouts, complete game, shutout. And that tied Roger Clemens for the most strikeout, and that's still the record. I think Johnson has it too. I think there's three that hold. I think maybe Clemens has done it twice, once pre-steroid and once post-steroid. But anyway, he struck out the 20, and that broke the rookie record set by Bill Gullickson, who ironically struck out 18 about 15 years earlier against the Cubs. So he broke that record. And they rate baseball games, okay? And his performance garnered a game score, which is how they rate pitchers, how they've pitched the game. His game score was 105. There has not been a game that is pitched that has been higher than that. So statistically, he pitched the best game ever in Major League Baseball. The hit he gave up probably had about 70 miles per hour off the bat. It was just a little dink that Kevin Ory, who was playing third that day, should have gotten to. But, maybe if he did get to it, it would have been 19 strikeouts instead of 20. But that is statistically the best game ever pitched, and it was easily the best game I'd ever seen. It looked like a video game that day, and the Houston batters knew going up to bat, they admitted, we don't have a shot. And I'm thinking, by golly, we've got a right-handed Sandy Koufax. This is going to be awesome. Well, he finished the season in 1998 as the Rookie of the Year. He had a 13-6 record. He had an ERA of about 3.45, somewhere around there, and he easily won the National League Rookie of the Year. He did not pitch the last month because he had some shoulder discomfort, and the Cubs made the playoffs, and he came back and he pitched the third game, I believe the second or the third game of the playoffs against the Braves, which he lost. And we were kind of concerned because he hadn't pitched that last month. And, at that time, fans were kept a little more in the dark. How hurt is he? It came out during the offseason that he needed Tommy John surgery. So after that great rookie year, the next year, we didn't see him. He comes back in 2000, pitched again, and he just had a lot of rust. He could not control. He had an 8-7 record. His control went. He kind of looked like a shell of himself, but he pitched himself back into shape. And 2001, he went 12-6 with a 3.36 ERA. He did record a one-hit, 14 strikeout complete game shutout that season. So he was still a very good pitcher, top of the line pitcher, but the injuries always hit him. He always had a hard time staying on the field. But one of the reasons why Cubs fans love him so much is because when he was on the field, he was a bulldog. It wasn't just the stuff he had, it was the mentality he had. He was a gamer, he was a serious pitcher, and he was out there for battle. And knowing what we know about injuries, a lot of those times when he was pitching, he probably shouldn't have been pitching because he was injured. That's how you land on the disabled list. The disabled list then. So he had some pretty decent years, but in 2002, he set a career high with 213 innings, and he made all 33 of his starts the first time in his career he did that. And he had 217 strikeouts. In 2003, when the Cubs made the playoffs and were 5 outs away from the World Series, and we've already went over that ad
Oh
nauseum.
yeah.
Wood led the National League with 266 strikeouts. He was 14-11, had a 3.20 ERA, pitched 2 shutouts that year, and he had a average fastball of 95.4, which doesn't sound so great now, but that was the top in the National
Oh
League
yeah.
or in the major leagues that year. He did walk 100 batters in 213 innings, and he surrendered 24 home runs. So he could get hit with the long ball, and he can get himself in trouble with walks. But he was that year selected for the All-Star team for the first time, and he, along with Mark Pryor went 18-6 that year. They were known
Oh
as
yeah.
Chicago Heat, and our number 3 starter that year was Carlos Zambrano.
Oh
We just had a wicked pitching staff.
yes.
In the division series against the Braves, he had 2 wins, and he also pitched in a third game and did very well, but did not get the decision. In the series against the Marlins, he's known because he lost that 7th game against the Marlins when we had a lead, and part of the reason we had a lead is because he hit a home run. Um, but the Marlins won the game 9-6, and he was the losing pitcher, and we were eliminated. But every Cub fan knows we did not lose that series, that game. We lost it the previous game when we should have had uh, the last 5 outs, so on and so forth. So he had some good years, and he always seemed to end up on the disabled list. And when he was in there, I was always happy. And in 2007, they decided, okay, we can't keep you healthy. We're going to put you in the bullpen, and that was a pretty good move for the Cubs. In 2007, having been on the 60-day disabled list, they would put him in at the end of the season. They would put him in to pitch kind of like a setup role, but they wouldn't pitch him like 2 games in a row. They always tried to limit his pitches. And the reason they put him in the bullpen was to try to extend his career. And in 2008, they transitioned him into being our closer. And in 2008, he once again was an all-star. And he was a closer on a very good Cub team, 2007 and 8. We went to the playoffs both years. And Wood was a very big contributor, especially in that 2008 season, because when he went to the bullpen as our closer, Ryan Dempster went back into the rotation. And that was one of the reasons why we were able to win that division. On December 13, 2008, he signed a 2-year contract with the Cleveland Indians, Guardians now. The Cubs decided not to re-sign him, and he was not having a very good time of it with Cleveland. 2009, he had shaky season, I guess you could say. And then in 2010, he's pitching with the Indians, and he's having a pretty bad year. And the Indians trade him to the Yankees on July 31st, 2010, for for a couple players that nobody knows who they are. Um, but when he went to the Yankees, he started is immediately started talking to Mariano Rivera, and Rivera showed him how to throw a cutter. So, not having thrown a cutter his entire career, in 2010, he goes to the Yankees um, at the trade deadline, learns the cutter, and immediately starts using it. And he had a setting up for Rivera. He went 2-0, a 0.69 ERA in 24 games, and he had 21 straight scoreless appearances for the Yankees. So he was one of the reasons that helped them win the division. That year, they lost in the American League Championship Series to the Rangers in 6 games. But that was one of his best years. After the season, the Cubs declined to exercise his option, and so he's a free agent again. So the Cubs signed him in 2010, and he agreed to a 1-year, $1.5 million deal with the Cubs. Could have signed a longer-term contract with someone else for more money, but he lived in Chicago. That was his home. Wanted to be there. So he pitched for us in 2011 and in 2012. And 2012, he was injured. He came in after being on the disabled list and just didn't have it. And so he retired on May 18th, 2012. And his very last game, he went in there. He struck out the only batter he faced against the White Sox. So he's walking off the field, and this little son runs onto the field, and they embrace and everything. Just a great person. And a little bit of Kerry Wood lore. He's the fastest pitcher to reach 1,000 strikeouts in Major League history and appearances. He did it in only 134 games. He's the fastest pitcher to reach 1,000 strikeouts in Major League history. In innings pitched, he reached 1,000 strikeouts in 853 innings. And of course, we talked about the 20 strikeout game, which is rated out as the best game ever pitched. And a lot of times on the Major League Baseball Network, on the anniversary of his game, they will show that game, and you're gonna have to wait till next year because it was like a week and a half ago. But just watch that pitch, and the Astros just had no shot. A little thing I did not know about him until I did this research. On June 24th, 2013, so he's retired, he's paddleboarding in the waters of Chicago, and he came across a corpse floating in the water.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he went to the authorities, and it was a man who had been reported missing earlier in the day. So I don't think there was foul play. Was missing from a nursing home. But yeah, I actually had a friend in high school. I had a crush on her. And so I'd call her, I don't know if I called her and bugged her or she wanted to talk to me. I don't know, she never hung up on me, but I called her. One day in conversation, she says, yeah, my dad and his friend were pulling up trout lines out of the Mississippi. They pulled up a body once. And I freaked out. I'm like, pulled up a body?
What the heck?
I would freak out. But
oh, yeah.
It happens to some people. But anyway, Kerry Wood, one of my all-time favorite Cubs. I wanted to do this a few months ago, but it kept getting bumped. But being we just had the 25th anniversary of his amazing game about a week and a half ago, good time to bring it up.
I remember
Kerry Wood.
Oh, yes, I remember that game. Matter of fact, I played fantasy baseball. He was like my fourth pitcher on my rotation. You had a rotation of 5 starters, 3 relievers. I just took a chance on him. And that game, 9 innings, no runs, that's 9 points. You get a win, that's 14. 20 strikeouts, that's 34. I got 34 points that day. But I remember watching him, and that ball, like you said, just exploded out of his hands. And there was a time, it was a short time, but I think the 3 most, electrifying pitchers in for about 3-4 years there, J.R. Richard, he was like that. Kerry Wood and Nolan Ryan, but Nolan did it longer than everybody else. And again, it's a lot of, I don't know what it is about Texas, but Clemens came out of Texas. I'm sure there's a ton of Nolan Ryan, Kerry Wood, just a ton of great power pitchers have come out of Texas. And that's it. I enjoyed him. And I remember at the end of his career, they had like an insurance commercial or something, and somebody reached into the ivy and they pulled, and I think it was either Kerry Wood pulling somebody out of there or somebody pulled Kerry Wood out.
He pulled out on he was I pull out some weird things from the ivy, and he pulled out like a French horn and stuff like that. And then he reaches in, he pulls out Andre Dawson. What year is it?
The Hawks. That's a great commercial. If you get a chance, watch that on YouTube. What do they sell on insurance? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it's a State Farm commercial.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I enjoyed Kerry Wood, although he was always on the other teams. And it was just fun watching him and our team competing against him, and he usually got the better of us much more times than we got the better of him. But man, great player. You picked a good one.
For the younger people, you brought up a name that people should go to YouTube and watch. James Rodney Richard, J.R. Richard, 6'8". He looked like a prize fighter. He was completely ripped, and he was like a giant Bob Gibson who threw harder, and nobody wanted to fool with him. And I remember there was a game, I don't remember who was managing the Astros, but the Astro manager went out to get him in the 9th inning. I think he'd given up a hit to lead off the 9th. And as he was walking to the mound, Richard said, "There's no one in that pen who throws better than me." And the manager turned around without even making it to the mound. And Richard finished the game. He suffered from a stroke. I think it was 1980 or 81, and that derailed his career. I don't think he ever made it back to the majors. I think he tried to come back, but didn't make it back. And he just had a rough life after that. But there was like a 4 year stretch where the most feared pitcher in baseball was J.R. Richard. And I remember uh, my I had a buddy when I was growing up, and his dad got Playboy magazine. So we were camping, and his dad had the baseball edition of Playboy magazine. So he's
Whoa.
letting us look at his Playboy, and it was how they put it, pitcher that scared the shit out of hitters. They had J.R. Richard number one, Nolan Ryan number two, and at the time, yeah, it was. And when Ryan signed with the Astros, Richard was on that team. So before Richard had the stroke, they had Richard and Ryan going back to back. And you talk about some heat and intimidation. And
They didn't
yeah,
smile. That was, and then they had Joe Negro on that team, the knuckleballer. What? That ain't even fair.
yeah,
Yeah. I thought that team was destined. It was a good team, but they never won the championship.
yeah.
Good team. But they had to go up against the Dodgers and the Reds back in them days, and that was
They almost went to the World Series in 1980. The Phillies beat them in 5 games, and the playoffs were just 5 games.
Oh,
And yeah,
good memories. Good
yeah.
memories. Oh yeah.
JJ, who are you opening up?
Well, I brought back these 2022 GQ. They're kind of a stylish looking card. So I went ahead and got another pack of those. It's got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on the package right there. So I'll be opening those. There's only like 7 cards in a package. Oh man,
I got my old school cards back. I'm opening up a 91 Fleer
91
Ultra Series. So
that's fun. We never know who we're going to see in there. Well, my gosh, I'm going to have to puncture this thing. This is like my gosh, this is hard to even open. I don't have enough strength to open the baseball cards anymore. All right, let's see who we got here. We got Key Brian Hayes leading it off right there. His team, the Pirates, have done very good this year, and he's a big part of it. I like that kid. Really, really good player.
Gold Glover for some guy named Avocado.
I know. I think, yeah, he is fantastic. DJ LeMahieu.
Former Cub.
That's right. Is he with the? Let's see what team he's with.
Still with the Yankees.
Oh yeah, Yankees. I'm used to seeing pinstripes with the Yankees.
Yeah.
So, there we go. That kind of has an old style look to it right there. Patrick Corbin.
Oh,
right
nice.
there. A very nice player. Good pitcher. I'd love to have him on our team. A player. This is him with Minnesota, and I think he's a Yankee now. I think Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, he's a Yankee now.
Yeah, I know he got into it with Tim Anderson a year or two ago. Oh, this guy, I feel so sad. This is like a Kerry Wood kind of story here. Anthony Rendon. He was on that World Series team. He signed a big contract, and he's on the DL again with the Angels. He just can't catch a break. And let's see. And the last guy here, I have never heard of this guy. He's with the Minnesota Twins, Brent Rooker. There he is. Don't know him. But anyway, there he is. So that's my pack. That was it, Vince. They don't have put many in them packs, but they're nice looking cards.
From the 91 Fleer and the foil pack.
Yeah.
Which is harder to open than the wax pack.
Oh yeah.
I love my wax packs. So.
I'm excited. We don't know who we're going to see in these things. There's some classic players.
What were you doing in 1991?
91. Shoot. I think I might have been. Was that Desert Storm? 91.
Yeah.
Might have been Desert Storm. I spent about 8 months over there. And my grandparents would cut out the box scores. So I would read the box scores. And anytime they had a baseball game on the radio over there, it'd be like 3:00 in the morning. And I'd set my alarm. And if I wasn't on watch, I'd listen to the Mariners play the Twins at 3 o'clock in the morning, with dark outside and the game's going on. But it felt like a piece of home. I mean, you could
Yeah.
hear they'd be talking about. You could hear the organ in the background playing, and just seemed like a little slice of home going on there.
Well, I start off with the foil sticker of the Mariners. Very
Yeah.
good. Oh, and first I got Kelly Gruber.
Oh yeah, dodging a fastball inside. Look at that,
Yeah.
leaning back.
He had 31 home runs, drove in 118 that year, 91 for the Blue Jays.
Really good player.
Pretty good Reds first baseman, pinch hitter, Reggie Jefferson.
Oh yeah, I remember
Nice
Jefferson.
little career.
And nice, yeah.
I think this guy caught for the Cardinals for a while. Pat Borders for the Blue Jays.
Late in his career.
Yeah. Oh, this guy, he had a few years where he was just dynamite, and he didn't sustain it, too terribly long. But I got Ellis Burks, who was an all-star that year. He had 21 home runs, 89 RBIs. Very good. Whoa, didn't mean to.
Ellis took off.
This guy, he always played with his head. Jose Canseco.
Oh, we'll never forget that ball off the head over the fence. Classic.
Former Red Sox shortstop Luis Rivera.
Oh yes.
Mariners catcher Dave Valley.
He's on MLB channel now.
Yeah, he certainly is.
Valley's a good
Oh,
guy.
I love this. I absolutely love this picture.
Oh, okay.
John Dustin, who played for the Cubs. Look at that.
Whoa, man. Somebody's taking him out at second right there.
How cool is that?
Back when you could break up the double play.
Former Reds pitcher, Norm Charlton. Also
one of the Nasty Boys.
Yeah, one of the Nasty Boys. Yeah.
That's right.
We've had this guy before. One of your favorite players from Arkansas, Kevin McReynolds.
Yeah, that's right. He's Padre there probably. Or Met.
Met, yeah. 24 home runs, 82 RBIs that year.
Duck hunter. Big duck hunter.
Nolan Ryan?
Yeah, that dude just greatest, maybe one of the greatest players ever.
Yankees outfielder Gerald Williams.
Oh yeah. I don't know what kind of career he had, but he was around a few years.
Here's Michael's brother for the Red Sox, Tom Bolton. How could we live without him?
Michael Bolton had no buttons on his shirt. They were always open. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my goodness. Former Cardinal. This is when he's pitching for the Padres. Andy Benes. I met him once.
Number one player taken in the draft one year out of Ellisville, Indiana. He played for the Indiana College.
When they used to have this thing of Busch Stadium, Wonder Bread would sponsor it. It was like a kids deal. They'd have kids activities, and then you could, they'd have a player there to get his autograph. Then you had tickets for the game. So my daughter, she was, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years old. So we went to the Bowling Hall of Fame first.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. But then we went there and we went to go get Andy Benes's autograph. There's like 8 gazillion kids in line. And he's like signing her hat. I said, yeah, she's very excited. She thinks you're handsome. I don't think you heard a word I said. Just said that. You're a kid. So anyway,
he was taller than me sitting in a chair, and I'm
he's a big guy.
Yeah.
One of my memories. This is a Harry Carey story.
Oh, okay.
I'm watching a game, and this is when he's pitching for the Padres, and it's strikeout leaders, so and so, and then it has Benes SD, and Harry said, and that's Benes from South Dakota.
Harry can get away with that. He's loved.
At that time.
We love Harry.
Well, I hope we are able to put our panel together for next week. So I think we're going to have 6 of us sitting around talking baseball, passing gas, what guys do when they're together. And
scratching ourselves.
Yeah. So JJ, you got anything to finish off the fantastic podcast with?
No, I wish the Cubs luck this week and go get them. And we've got the Dodgers, a 4-game series coming up with them. They're always tough. I heard Dustin May had to be taken out of the
Yeah.
game today. I mean, injuries are hitting all the teams, and it's going to be about depth. I really think the team with the most depth, and I feel pretty good about the Cardinals' depth, even in the AAA and on our bench. As long as we don't get hit terribly hard, I think we'll be all right. Pitching, starting pitching is our weakness. And we've got about 3 kids down there, Dakota Hudson, Liberatore's coming out tonight, and Grasafio that's in our system that I think might be ready to come up and help out. So we'll see. But
Well,
hang on, guys. It's going to be fun.
Before we go, let me give a score update. The Cubs are beating the Astros 6-1.
Hey, congratulations.
With home runs by Suzuki and Morel. Morel goes deep again. He's on fire. And see if I can find the Cardinals. I got top of the 4th, Cardinals 1-0. So
I hope maybe Arenado hit it number 6 in a row.
Well, let me see. I think that I think my internet needed to repot. Oh well, okay. It's screwed up. Anyway, we're both winning right now, so that's good. So anyway, thank you for joining us. We will see you next week.
Thank you.